Season 2, Episode 28, Your Copyright is Everything. Now, if you are brand new to music production, and if you've really only worked a real job, like for me, I was an electrician. So when I got paid, you get your basic paycheck, right? And when you look at your paycheck, everything that's going on, the accountant of that job does all that stuff, right? Like, who's ever in charge of the finances when it comes to, taking off your taxes, or if you have to pay any kind of unemployment or any kind of pension thing going on, or whatever you have to pay off of your standard paycheck, all that stuff is done for you, and you just go to work and you come home, right? And you get paid. But when you enter in the online world, and it's not just music production, but we're going to focus with music production in this episode, but your copyright is everything, okay? It's your ownership. It's what allows you to make your money. And if somebody wrongfully uses your stuff, right, that's where you can take legal action and all that stuff. I don't want to go too heavy into this episode, but I just want to let you be aware of your copyright, because if you are new to the online world, and it doesn't matter if you are selling a beat, if you're selling a sound kit, if you're selling a book, a course, even this podcast is technically like my copyright, you know what I mean? So when it comes to copyright, you have to understand of ownership, okay? So before we get into this episode, I want to talk a little bit of behind the scenes. So I have started up courses again. The newest course coming out to the platform is called 5 Golden Pillars of Music Production. It took me quite a while to figure out what order I wanted to put each section, because really there's a lot of really kind of golden pillars of music production. But I talked to you about A and B comparison, fair level matching. Like, if you guys have been in my platform for a while, you guys know all that stuff, right? So A and B comparison, so important, as well as fair level matching. Otherwise, we think the louder one sounds better. I talked to you about being organized, right? So many of you guys, when you come into the platform, you got stuck into gear lust, right? You started downloading tons and tons of free plugins, and you kind of got deceived by the industry, thinking that you need all these plugins. But honestly, for me, my suggestion to you is just use high quality premium plugins that you know really well and in depth. It will allow you to save a lot of money, and you'll actually learn how to use the tool really, really well, which actually makes you a better producer. So the trick is having the tools that allow you to do the job. You don't need thousands of tools. You just need tools that can do the job, that are high quality. Okay, that's the secret. Otherwise, you get consumed into gear lust, and sometimes you have to undo the mess you made, which is harder than just being organized in the beginning. So I break down how to be organized properly to see like true enjoyment and success with your beats so that you can learn and get moving, okay? We talk about using your full frequency spectrum, tons and tons of valuable tips in there. Now, it's not just like what you think. Like, for example, we have a kick drum, right? The kick drum, especially if you're making more like kind of hip hop beats, like the actual drums that you're using within hip hop, the drum can have, it's obviously has like its low end, but it also has a high end to the sound, right? When it has its kind of hi-hat layer or click or whatever on the high end. And when you look at the frequency spectrum of this kick drum, you might think, well, it is hitting in the full frequency spectrum, but we as beat makers, we know that the kick drum lives in the low end. And so it's just important that you are using your full frequency spectrum. And there's many other valuable tips I have provided for you in that 5 golden pillars of music production. So be on the lookout, because it is currently in the editing stage. And again, if you guys are interested in joining the platform, again, there's 28 courses at the moment. Just visit itsgratuitous.com. Okay, so this episode is about your copyright is everything. So in the digital world, we are talking about copyright for pretty much everything you're doing online, like whether it is just a simple YouTube video, or again, a podcast like this, or if you are creating products, right? Like a book or a course or presets for Serum, or if you create a VST, right? So now when it comes to copyright, Essentially, when someone purchases your copyright, you're essentially giving them a license to the right to use that product. For example, if you purchase a drum kit, what is that vendor's terms and conditions, and what license are they giving you when you purchase the drum kit? You got to make sure that you read the terms and conditions to whatever you are getting involved in. You can't just assume that it's 100% royalty free, okay? But you have to remember that the person who created that product, that is their copyright and their ownership, and they are granting you a license to use their product. Okay, it's like the same thing kind of like for a book. If you purchase the book, essentially kind of like the license is, this book is for you. They are pretty much saying that you can't, photocopy all the text and sell it yourself, because that's not your copyright. Or for example, if you watch one of my courses, it's like the license that you are given is the right to watch the course and to learn from it, right? But you don't have the right to take that course and sell it yourself, because again, that is a huge legal mess, right? Of ownership. And that is your copyright. So let's quickly talk about your beat and your own music, because that's what this podcast is about, is music production, right? So when you make a beat, essentially that is your copyright. It's your ownership. Now, when people put beat tags and all that stuff, that's just to prevent people from stealing the beat so that they can't use it on like YouTube and, wherever they are going to use it to promote themselves with your product without giving you credit or even purchasing it, right? Now, beat tags are effective, but even without a beat tag, that beat is yours. And if it ever went to a legal, situation, your evidence is, well, here is my FL Studio project, essentially. Here's all the MIDI notes here. This is my project. Now, sure, that person can maybe recreate the project and try to get it close, but within audio, it is very hard to replicate something to a T. So if you use a certain sound and you EQ'd it a certain way, or if you had, let's say again with Serum, and you selected a certain preset, and if you don't know what Serum is, it's just a virtual instrument. It's like a synthesizer, really, really popular within the industry. And be on the lookout. I am creating a Serum course here very soon as well. But again, if you take Serum and you sound design it a certain way, again, it's going to be really hard for someone to fully replicate what you did, because when you have a knob, right, it's very hard to get it to that exact perfect location. So all I'm saying is, if you made the beat, you have the project, that's essentially your proof of ownership and that you are like the creator of that product, which means that it's your copyright. Now, if somebody uses your stuff, again, that's getting into a huge legal mess, right? That is why people use beat tags, just for that little extra protection on the beat if someone's going to try to use it. And if someone does use it, it's kind of free promotion for you. But that's pretty much what I want to talk about when it comes to copyright. So in this digital world, copyright is your ownership to essentially anything that you create. It doesn't have to be for a digital product, but digital products are probably, way more popular than ever, right? Sound banks, drum kits, beats, podcasts, right? Whatever it is, that is copyright. Somebody owns it. And whenever you are entering this world that you're starting to use other people's copyright, and I guess like the biggest example would be with sampling, right? A lot of the old hits in like the 70s and the 80s where people take it, they chop it up, and they sample it to make their own beat. Now, you got to be really careful there, because that's somebody else's copyright. And especially if the song is popular and big, there's a lot of money that can be coming after you, right? So you have to understand copyright, all right? And one thing to look into if you are sampling is sample clearance, okay? So that's it for this episode. Just be careful with copyright. When you create a product, when you create a beat, that is your ownership, it's your copyright. And, just make sure that you're doing whatever you can do to protect your copyright. When it comes to agreements, if you have to sign certain things, like if you're trying to go with a record label or if you're trying to sell your product on a certain marketplace, make sure you read their terms and conditions. Like, is it an exclusive thing where if you sell it through them, you can't sell it anywhere else? Or is it something like it's non-exclusive? So which means that if you sell it through this website, can you go to another website and sell it there as well? And so that's essentially what I want to get across to you, is that when you have a product, it is your ownership, and you are essentially licensing your ownership to allow people to use it. All right? And so you got to think that way. Don't just give away your copyright. It is very, very powerful. It is essentially your product. And in this digital world, it's how you make money. So if you guys want to learn how to make beats, check out my website. It's all about learning FL Studio, learning how to make high quality beats, right? Learning the piano, learning drum loops. Just go to itsgratuitous.com, and you guys always feel free to send me an email. I typically respond back daily. As always, thank you for listening. Thank you for your support, and for your business who has ever, taken my courses or joined the membership or anything like that. I really want to say thank you because, hey, you're using my copyright, right? And I really appreciate you allowing me to grow and educate you guys and helping you really learn how to make beats. There's been some really, really good success stories, and just a huge shout out to Evander. To summarize this episode, do not just give away your copyright thinking that it's worthless. Your copyright is so powerful, and it can make you a lot of money if you're really, really wise and understand business, okay? So again, visit itsgratuitous.com. Thanks for checking out the episode. I'll talk to you in the next one.